Hi, I'm Nicolene Peck. I'm a parenting expert. And did you know that sometimes those troubling negative behaviors could actually be the parent's fault? In this video, we're going to be talking about 6 child behavior problems that are parents' fault. You know what? It's hard being a parent. In fact, it is the hardest thing that anyone ever does because we are literally given the charge to form the ideas and the problem solving and the hearts of another person. And they are unpredictable and individual and unique. It's tough. And you know what? Sometimes we don't know what we don't know. So as I go through these 6 problems that could potentially be in your home, that might maybe even be your fault, don't take it personally. In fact, the best thing you can do is go, oh, actually, that happens in my house. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to share with you 6 typical behavior problems that might be the parent's fault and a whole lot more as we go through them as well. These 6 behavior problems that I'm going to be discussing can be the parent's fault, but they could also be the fault of somebody else who has a big influence on the child's life. So they turn out being the parent's fault as well if the parent allows access to a source that is giving bad information. So if the child has learned their bad behaviors from overexposure to a friend or to certain neighbors, maybe family members that have bad behavior, maybe the media, maybe they're with other children at a daycare or school, then technically we could still say that the parent is at fault because parents do get to decide who their child is around on a daily basis, at least until the child is significantly older. When the child is young, almost all of those behavior problems come from either the parent or something or someone that the parent has exposed the child to. Number 1, excuse making. Have you ever asked your child a question like, did you get your bed made? And they go, well, I didn't really have time because so-and-so didn't do this and I had to wait my turn for the bathroom and da-da-da-da. And so they immediately start making excuses. Where does a person learn that making excuses makes their bad behavior okay? Well, they learn it through example. They learn it because it works for somebody else that they've seen make excuses. Maybe even has made excuses to them. So do you make excuses? Well, then it could be that your children have learned to make excuses too. So I'm known for teaching self-government all over the world. And if there's one thing that a self-governed person never does is make excuses for their actions. Instead, they own up to them and that they fix them. So the more and more that you learn self-government from the videos on this Teaching Self-Government channel, the less and less you'll make excuses and the less they'll make excuses too. The second behavior problem is lying. Now, I know we hate to peg that on the parents because you could learn lying from friends, you could learn it from TV shows. There's so many different sources that could be teaching lying. But do remember that parents can expose their children to media too much or to the type of media that promotes lying as an okay option for communication or for problem solving. Another thing is sometimes parents lie to their children. Children know when you lie to them. They can feel it. They also know when you've lied to somebody else. If somebody calls you on the phone and you say something like, I haven't received that yet, and your child knows you have received that. Or when you say to somebody, oh, I didn't know that was the rule, but your child knows that you knew that was the rule, then you're teaching the child that lying is a good way to solve your problems. Another way that parents teach lying is by being too aggressive in their parenting. So a bully, fear-based type parent teaches the child to try to get out of the situation any way they can find. And one of those ways that they often find is lying. Number 3 is swearing or bad language, rude language, being crass. Basically, anything you say, you are giving permission to them to say. And any show or any song that you listen to that has language in it, you are giving permission for them to use that language. So make sure that you are refined, that you are picky in what you will say and won't say, and what you will watch or listen to and won't. Because you sitting there allowing the song to go on in the car tells them in an unspoken way that this is okay. And that maybe at some point you will be big enough or smart enough to say this too. Sometimes parents think the children don't clue into their language, maybe their sarcasm or their little jokes or innuendos. But you know what? They do. In fact, sometimes children clue in enough to know that they're kind of embarrassed by the fact that their parent is doing that behavior. But usually they just adopt it for their own. Is this interesting to you? If so, give me a thumbs up. I like for people to share with me when something is really benefiting them. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is bad social skills. The way that a parent behaves socially is the way a child is going to behave socially too, then and in the future. So I homeschool my children. Can you imagine what type of social questioning people might have asked me because I chose to homeschool my own biological children? All my foster children went to school, but for my 4 children, we did homeschool at home. And I don't know how many times people have said, aren't you concerned about their social skills? What about their social? And I've said to them, listen, I have thought a lot about social. I have examined the social of all the children that keep coming into my home and many other people around me. And what I have found is that a person becomes as social as the person that they are around the most. And that's usually their parents. However a parent behaves socially is how their child is going to behave if that parent has a primary influence in their lives. So if I have good social skills and I'm the primary influence in the life of my child, then they're going to have good social skills too. But what if I have bad social skills? What if I'm rude or grumpy or entitled socially or don't treat people with respect? Well, guess what? I shouldn't be surprised if my child has those same social problems. Number 5, laziness or not helping out. You know, there's so many parents that complain to me that their children don't help out. And when I watch some of these parents in action, I recognize the parents actually are not teaching their child how to help out. They're not teaching them vital skills. Some skills that we teach in the Teaching Self-Government parenting model are things like how to follow instructions. Knowing how to follow instructions prepares the child to help out. Another way that parents teach their children to be lazy or not help out is by not wanting to help out themselves and being lazy themselves, expecting the children to do all the work around the house or all the things that they don't want to do. If parents feel like they're too busy to lift a finger, it shouldn't surprise them that their children consider themselves way too busy to lift a finger too. But there's another way we teach laziness as well, and that is by doing everything for the children. If we teach them to do nothing because we're doing it all, we shouldn't be surprised when they do nothing. So laziness, that's a big one. This is a bonus one that I just thought of. I hadn't planned on sharing it, but as far as teaching our children because we do too much for them, there is another bad behavior, and maybe we shouldn't call it a bad behavior, more of an unfortunate behavior that children end up with because their parents do too much for them. And that is they have low self-confidence or maybe even anxiety, sometimes even depression, because the parents haven't given the children enough opportunity to develop adult skills so that they feel confident living in life by themselves. They've been coddled, too cared for. This can create whininess as well. Wow, I guess our list could go way, way on. Let's move on to number 6. Number 6 is bad communication skills. The way that you communicate is going to be the way they communicate. If you're yelling, they'll yell. If you whine, they'll whine. If you pout, they'll pout. If you walk away when someone's talking to you, they will too. Now, I know sometimes a parent hasn't trained that last one and the child just does it because they don't want to handle their problems. But if the parent never teaches the child how to handle their problems, how to get understood, how to communicate and problem solve together with their parents and with a group, then of course the child's going to get overwhelmed and walk away because they don't know what to do. So our communication skills are huge. Parents teach those. That's why we've got to deliberately decide what communication skills we will teach to our children. And that's a place I can definitely help. There are lots of self-government skills that can help you not teach your children these bad behaviors. But there are also skills that can help them come out of the habits of those bad behaviors. You don't need to feel bad about yourself. There is hope. So don't beat yourself up if your child might have learned some bad behaviors from you. Instead, just do something about it. That something is called self-government. If you have enjoyed what we've talked about here, you're going to love my next video, which is called What Does Self-Government Mean in Parenting? Click on that video now and get more help.